May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. A few anonymous words to light our chalice. Good morning. Welcome to Cross Street Chapel. I'm grateful for your presence here, for those who joined us in person, as well as those who are following online. I hope that whatever has brought you to this space, joys, sorrows, laughter or tears, perhaps a chance to hear a few words of wisdom or to connect with one another, or just to rest with the divine. And whether this is your first time stepping over our threshold here at 10,000, I am grateful for your presence. And I hope that whatever you look for here, you'll find it, as well as a warm community. And that laughter, I can give you an assurance of, because I've been here for about 10 years, and I know how blessed we are with such friendly and nice people. So we had some anonymous words to light our chalice. We turned to some words very much written by the Reverend Mark Morrison Reed, called The Task of the Religious Community. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. So I hope here we may feel that ambition to our highest aspirations, as our chalice lighting remarked, but also a chance to recognize the need for community and each other, as Mark Morrison Reed assures us. And let us have a chance to have a good sing with our first hymn in the Purple Book, number 92, Let Us Renew Our Covenant, by the Reverend Andrew Hill, hymn number 92. Let us turn to a time of prayer, and this is followed by our covenant, which is printed in your order of worship and will appear online for those following from home. But first, these words. O God, great composer, whose pen has writ across the heavens, whose glorious starbursts ring throughout the universe with cosmic rhythms, grant us the patience and silence to hear the symphony of which we are a part. Let us appreciate the sounds of nature, the birds, the bustling grasses, and chirping insects. Though nature may sometimes be brutal, it can also be generous. And may we learn from its abundance and give of ourselves to the world. Let us take in the sounds of mechanical progress, the earth movers and pipes being laid, and the squeal of trams, construction for our part of a better world. Unchecked development can be brutal. It can harm humanity and creation. So may we seek to ensure all progress is for the benefit of all peoples, stepping as well not upon the flowers of the world. We hear in our time on earth the cries of melancholy, whose risk is sadness, but which may bring to awareness our community and its capacity to hold, to heal, and to help. For our sorrows, as well as others, we ask for neighbors to play alongside us. We hear laughter of joy, which risks disconnection, but can bring as well a brightness that allows us to further engage with the challenges that we face. We are the musicians called upon to play out life's symphony. May we do so with an awareness of our part, as well as others, to continue to build a life of harmony. Amen. And please join with me as we read our covenant. We gather here in sacred fellowship to witness the fullness of our lives and all life, to hold and be held, tell stories and to listen, to be renewed and renew the world. We speak with care and patience. We act with gentleness and compassion. We forgive each other and ourselves. In faith that we build beloved community, we renew our covenant today. Today's story comes courtesy of Catherine. We occasionally watch CBBS with our son, and I think one of the highlights is right at bedtime they always read a bedtime story. We sort of keep track of the ones they read and the ones that sort of stick out as, I was going to say as appropriate for this, but just as beautiful stories, and this was one Catherine saw the other day and for us. We wanted to share it today. It's called Mixed, an inspiring story about color by Ari Chung. In the beginning, which is how great stories begin. In the beginning, there were three colors. There was yellow, reds, and blues. Reds were the loudest. I like red, that's my favorite color, so I think that makes sense. Yellows were the brightest. Do we have any yellow fans here? And blues, well, blues were the coolest. You can see it driving around in a car. Everyone lived in color harmony. You can see they're all getting along very well in their city. Until one afternoon, when a red said, "Reds are the best." And you can see he's got some supporters there as well. The yellows disagreed. "No, we're the best because we're the brightest." And the blues, well, the blues were too cool to even respond. The colors decided to live in separate parts of the city. And you can see they're starting to build up walls of stone and brick, fencing, calling Yellow Heights and Blue Town, as well as Redville. So they are very much following through on living in separate parts of the town. But then, one day, a yellow noticed a blue, and something happened. The blue is saying, "I feel so happy when I'm near you." And the yellow is saying, "I feel so calm when I'm with you." So Yellow and blue became inseparable. Life felt so vibrant. But not all the colors were happy about it. Colors shouldn't mix. I don't like yellow's effect on blue. That blue isn't bright enough for yellow. But yellow and blue loved each other so much, they decided to mix. And here they are, getting married. Together, they created a new color. They named her green. Green was bright like yellow and calm like blue. But really, she was a color all of her own. Everyone was fascinated. I've never seen anything like her before. She's so cute. Even the grumpy colors fell in love with green. You can see one's even asking to hold her red. The colors began to see possibilities. Soon other colors mixed. You can see there's an orange and mixed. There's a purple, a pair of purples. And mixed, and mixed. There were so many new colors and a lot of new names. Some parents calling out, be careful, Jade. Don't forget your glasses, lavender. Have fun, amber. The old neighborhoods of Redville, Blue Town, and Yellow Heights didn't make sense anymore. Everyone wanted to live together, so they rebuilt the city. The new city was full of color. It wasn't perfect, but it was home. Mixed by Ari Chung. Thank you, Catherine, for finding that. We come now to our candles of joy and sorrow. You are invited to come forward and light a candle if you wish. If you have a few words to say, sharing a trial and a triumph or something in your life, please come to the microphone so those who are listening online, those who are using the loop system will be able to hear you. If you're online, please type into the chat box and we will read your message out. You're of course invited to light a candle in silence if you so wish. And as always, if you want to remain seated, holding your life in your heart, know that your presence here is enough. And I've been asked by Richard to light a candle for his sister Sally. For those who have known, Sally has been suffering ill health for a long time. She's now in hospital and is near the end of her time with us. We certainly hold her and Richard's family in our hearts and prayers. Thank you.
I'm lighting this candle for Cody and my dad for Father's Day and for all fathers, really. But both Thomas and I are very lucky that we've had very present male figures.
For those joys and sorrows here spoken, and those that remain silently in our hearts. And let us sing now our second hymn, number 21 in the Purple Book, Shirley Arena Murray's Come and Find the Quiet Center, hymn number 21. Thank you. We come now to our next reading by the English writer David Herbert Lawrence. I believe this is from a letter that he wrote to his nephew. I want you to form the nucleus of a new community, which shall start a new life amongst us, a life in which the only riches is integrity of character, so that each one may fulfill their own nature and deep desires to the utmost, but wherein the ultimate satisfaction and joy is in the completeness of us all as one. Let us be good all together, instead of just in the privacy of our chambers. Let us know that the intrinsic part of all of us is the best part, the believing part, the passionate, generous part. We can all come croppers, but what does it matter? We can laugh at each other and dislike each other, but the good remains, and we know it. And the new community shall be established upon the known, eternal good part in us. I hold this the most sacred duty, the gathering together of a number of people who shall so agree to live by the best they know, that they shall be free to live by the best they know. The ideal, the religion, must now be lived and practiced. From a letter from D.H. Lawrence to his nephew. And let us return to a time of prayer with these words of Lynn Cox. Creative Spirit, source of life and love, we give thanks for the beauty of this day and for the company of those assembled here and those in our hearts. Thank you for the breezes of change, clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the oppressions and isms that divide us. Thank you for the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, and the fire of commitment. May they bubble the cauldrons of transformation. Thank you for oceans of love, rivers of connection, tears of relief, and pools of serenity. May healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy this morning. Thank you for the good earth beneath us, around us, and within us. May we take this clay and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty. Thank you for all these and more. We accept our gifts and commit to building, sculpting, painting, singing, and dancing them to life, to abundant life. So be it. Blessed be. Amen. And let us now enter into a period of silence for reflection, meditation, contemplation, and personal prayer. We come now to our next hymn in the Purple Book, number 61, here in this moment's song by Frank Claburn, hymn number 61. My grandmother lived in the same house her entire life, with the exception of a couple years on either end and a brief stay in Texas when my grandfather served in the military. Through her 91 years, the house accumulated memories and paraphernalia of her life, as well as others. And I remember exploring the upstairs, finding old books, knickknacks, the assorted collection of jewelry, loads of cash boxes filled with pennies. It was fun to imagine the rooms in their prime, my father in his childhood, and how that must have been different to what my youth was like. And of course, as well, now reflecting upon how my youth was, and is different to what my son is experiencing. I even remember at some point discovering a small locket. Inside were a few strands of hair. I can't recall whose hair it would have been, though I do remember asking her about it. But it nevertheless left an impression on me. Amongst so much accumulated material possessions, there were small golden objects, delicate reminders of the people that had lived there and had called that house a home. And this memory has comes back often when I'm thinking about how we have to cut our own son's hair. We often put this off as long as we possibly can, because those who know Thomas know how gorgeous his hair is. But when your child begins to look like a sheepdog, it's definitely worth considering. So we hold off and hold off and hold off, because his beautiful curls are just too beautiful. But eventually, we have to snip it off. But what strikes me now when I think about that locket, and the small locks of hair that we undoubtedly hold on to from our children, is that it was taken from a baby who had in turn grown and lived, who had assumed some position of authority in their family before passing on from this life. And that was long, long before I was born. That lock of hair, as well as the embarrassing photos and the artworks that are given pride of place on the walls and refrigerators, remind us that even as we mature, there was some youth in our lives. We arrived at our maturity from our adolescence, and we arrived at our adolescence from our childhood. There is that expression that we were all kids once. More so than that, let us remember that so too were our parents and their parents, and so forth. We can carry this back until species are blurred, until land masses are rejoined, until we dissolve into the stardust that we all once were. And still, there was a yesterday. The world we occupy was here before us, that physical space, the land that our feet tread upon. We enter into a pre-made world with all the celebrations and tragedies of the past already baked into the hard earth and human consciousness. Our ancestry is unavoidable. And yet, at the same time, we are also this world's first inhabitants. Each new day for us is a new day for all of creation. The opportunities and challenges, the geography and the climate, all that dictate how we make our next steps, we make them together. Us and the birds, us and the cows, us and the wood mites and badgers and the shrubs. If you're lucky enough to be able to venture out into some green space, and if you happen upon a little dandelion poking its head out, tell it good morning, because it saw the same sunrise that you did. During the pandemic, Susan Greenhill wrote a poem called Strange Times that captured the imagery of nature encroaching upon us. No planes break conversation. Birdsong can once again be heard. Blossom blooms hopefully against a bright blue sky. Early spring sunshine dazzles on rippling ponds. It seems promising that we might still see this reclamation of the earth. That's just an excerpt of Greenhill's poem, and she actually concludes that although nature appears to tell us that all should be right with the world, it adds a further clause, but it's not today. Not today, for although we may rejoice in birdsong, we may cry at the loss of a loved one. We may marvel at the beauty of a flower. We may shudder at the speed of pain. We may breathe deep, refreshing, clean air. But we do so with that knowledge that pandemics can affect us now and perhaps in the future. We are always on the lookout, though, for panaceas, for cure-alls, solutions that magically fix everything. Answers without much sacrifice. Our disposition in the world is tricky, and this is best summed up by Mark Twain. The fact that we know right from wrong proves our intellectual superiority to other creatures. But the fact that we can do wrong proves our moral inferiority to any creature that cannot. Our capacity for moral decisions, to actively choose to do the right or wrong, creates this feeling of separation from nature. This is not entirely accurate, I think. I only have to watch my 6-year-old play to see the blessed connection that we have with the world. At some point, we as individuals and we as society sought to proclaim independence from our biological history. Just like the colors in mix, separating themselves from one another, failing to see the potential of the joy that they could create by knowing one another. We cannot, though, separate ourselves from the world, even if we try really hard. I come back time and again to this wonderful quote, posted anonymously but attributed to the NASA Lunar Institute back in 2012. Consider that you can only see less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum and hear less than 1% of the acoustic spectrum. As you read this, you are traveling at 200 kilometers a second across the galaxy, and 90% of the cells in your body carry their own microbial DNA and are not actually you. The atoms in your body are 99.9% empty space, and none of them are the ones that you were born with, but they all originated in the belly of a star. Humans have 46 chromosomes, 2 less than the common potato. The existence of the rainbow depends on the conical photoreceptors in your eyes. To animals without cones, the rainbow does not exist. So you don't just look at a rainbow, you create it. This is pretty amazing, especially considering that all the beautiful colors you see represent less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. How beautiful it is that we can see the rainbow, and how necessary it is that it is part of us. It is our creation as well. If there is a lesson that nature provides, it's that transformation is possible, but only as a return. We must seek to restore our relationships, to renew our covenant with that pale blue dot. We can achieve this by following the words of Anne Morrow Lindbergh. One becomes, in fact, like the element on which one lies, flattened by the sea, and the mind wakes and comes to life again. It begins to drift, to play, to turn over in gentle, careless rolls like those lazy waves on the beach. If we are able in some way to encounter the natural world without pretense, without expectation, without words, but only giving ourselves time to listen, to hear, to absorb it, then the earth will begin to heal. And hopefully we will begin to heal, and our relationships will begin to heal. What is needed is no less than a rejuvenation, a return to youth, a celebration of those childhood values that we so often eschew later in life. Curiosity, which we call shamelessness. Open-mindedness, which we call ignorance. And engagement, which we call foolhardiness. We must become like children. Carl Sandburg wrote, "A baby is God's opinion that life should go on. A baby is very modern, yet it is also the oldest of ancients. Look to this world. Look to this world. It carries on. This is the sign of faith for us. The world we occupy was both before us and progresses through time with us. It yearns to continue just as we do. And without restoring this relationship, reminding ourselves we will be welcomed back, humanity will surely suffer for it. So listen to the grasses as you would someone you've hurt. Make amends and begin again. I would have notices, but I actually don't have this sheet on page here, however. And I'm afraid it's not printed in your order of worship as it normally is. So we have our Friday lunchtime recitals coming up the 28th. Friday the 28th at 1 p.m. Featuring bassoon and piano. I forget their names, I'm afraid, but there are posters outside, so if you look at that. We also have an additional recital on the 5th of July from Ida Pellicciole, who's performed here a number of times. Our Friday recitals are becoming so popular, both with attendees, but also with people actually wanting to perform for us, that we're expanding into a couple, 2 or so extra dates, the first one being the 5th of July. So it's the first Friday of the month. So we've got one last Friday and first Friday coming up. Our recitals are free, but we are grateful for contributions which go to the artists to recognize their time, their talent, and their energy. Are there any announcements or notices from the congregation? You should have received, hopefully, an email regarding our trip to the Gaskell House. Unfortunately, the dates that we wanted, sometime Saturday in the summer, are all booked up because of weddings. There, not here. So we're looking into other days of the week. We're also possibly considering Sunday, if people would be interested in that. But the Sunday is a little bit different because you don't get a tour, you don't get a scone. They do have scones available, but you have to pay extra for them. So please do let me know your preferences and availability so we can make this as great an occasion as possible. That's the tour to the Gaskell House. And as always, we're grateful for any contributions that can assist the mission of the chapel. You can donate online at justgiving.com/Cross Street Chapel Manchester. You can email me about setting up a standing order, or there's a retiring collection here, and we're grateful. We have envelopes available if you're a UK taxpayer. If it's your first time with us, your presence is enough. We don't expect contributions from first-time visitors. Is there anyone to help with tea and coffee today? Thank you, Richard. Everything is set up. The urn should be on, so it won't be too much extra work, but thank you very much for that. And please do, yes, stick around for the tea and coffee afterwards. Is there anything that I may have forgotten? Let us then sing our final hymn, number 42, From the Light of Days Remembered by Mary Catherine Mourne, hymn number 42. Music. Thank you, William, for the IT. Thank you to Richard for greeting and for the tea and coffee we're about to enjoy. Thank you to Adam for these beautiful flowers. And thank you to everyone for creating and sharing worship. We close with the words of Rebecca Parker. In the midst of a world marked by tragedy and beauty, there must be those who bear witness against unnecessary destruction and who, with faith, stand and lead in freedom with grace and power. There must be those who speak honestly and do not avoid seeing what must be seen of sorrow and outrage, of tenderness and wonder. There must be those whose grief troubles the water while their voices sing and speak refreshed words. There must be those whose exuberance lies with lovely energy that articulates earth's joys. There must be those who are restless for respectful and loving companionship among human beings, whose presence invited people to be themselves without fear. There must be those who gather with the congregation of remembered and compassion and draw water from old wells and walk with the simple path of love for nature. And there must be communities of people who seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God, who call on the strength of soul force to heal, transform, and bless life. There must be